It's now 7:01. Thank you everyone for logging on and tuning in to tonight's webinar. My name is Shauna Finn. I am North Carolina Wildlife Federation's Durham community organizer. Really excited to be amongst everyone tonight. We have Hannah Welborn-Lewis with Haw River Assembly joining us tonight. She is Haw River's events and volunteer coordinator, and she is in charge with engaging people with their trash trout program. So we will be discussing what a trash trout is and how they prevent litter from entering our waterways. Some quick things to go over before the webinar starts. If you are comfortable with sharing during the webinar, we encourage you to type comments and chat questions in the chat. There will be time at the end for questions. I will read questions in the chat. Or if you would prefer to ask it yourself, you can raise your hand by using the little icon at the bottom of the screen, and I will unmute you to ask the question. So without further ado, I will allow Hannah to take the floor.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me, and I hope everybody's having a great day so far. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, so just let me know if you can see it in just a second. Okay, we can see it.
All good.
All good, thank you. Like I said, thank you so much for having me and coming on a Wednesday night. I hope everybody's had a good day so far. So as I mentioned, I am Hannah Welborn-Lewis, and I am the events and volunteer coordinator for Haw River Assembly. I'm going to touch a little bit more about who we are and then how this got started. But a trash trap, what is it? Where is it located? And how can you get involved? So just overall, who is Haw River Assembly? We are a nonprofit that has worked to protect the Haw River watershed in the Jordan Lake area since 1982. In 1972 is when the Clean Water Act was passed. And so obviously that set huge standards in terms of water quality and how we hold industries accountable. In 1982 was when they had the proposed damming of the lake, or Jordan Lake in particular. And so there was a group that formulated that was in opposition of it initially, but it did happen. But they did see that there were other issues that needed to be addressed, and thus the Haw River Assembly was formed. So as I mentioned, we are a nonprofit, and I've been so fortunate to work with Haw River Assembly. I previously worked for the city of Greensboro, which has definitely made an interesting transition between working from a municipality to now working for a nonprofit. So Haw River, if you don't know anything about it, is 110 miles long. It encompasses 8 different counties, which I have a map that will show in just a second. So we do touch a little bit everywhere. The Haw River itself starts in the corner of Forsyth County. So it does encompass several different areas that I look forward to touching on. And then we're just really concerned about all the plants, the animals, and the people who depend on the river. And so when we had the opportunity to work with North Carolina Wildlife Federation, it was definitely something that we wanted to talk to you about. But like I said, if you have any questions, you can ask them at the end, or you can email me and I'd be glad to answer those. So as I mentioned, this is the map that has all the different counties on it. So as you can see, it does start in the corner or on the edge of Forsyth County. And then it goes, we have Chatham, we have Guilford, we have Durham, Forsyth. I mean, there are so many different counties. And so we work, or especially I, make sure we try to cover all those different areas. Probably the biggest event that we have is the Cleanup-a-thon, where we had 5 counties of the 8 that were able to volunteer, but I'm also going to touch about those as well. So this is the Haw River watershed, just to kind of give you a visual. And so what is a trash trap? Which I'm sure you read the title and you're like, what is that? And so really it is just a purpose-built stormwater litter trap that collects all the different pieces of trash accumulated in one area. The spots that we have identified to put these in were very strategic. We had an intern that was able to go out and look at the water level, look at the amount of trash that was compiling up. And so we put these in spots that were visible, accessible, and mainly we're going to collect a bunch of litter. And so we put them in urban creeks and streams, and we worked with other municipalities, specifically for the one in Durham. We worked with Durham County to make sure it was in a good spot, and got all the types of permits that were necessary. So we are working with a few other municipalities because we will have 8 traps available in total. that we're going to place throughout the watershed. So we want to make sure that we're putting them in Guilford County, we're putting them in Chatham, Orange, any type of county that we're able to that has trash problems. And so as you can see here, it has a fencing area. It floats. It's a very unique device. And so I'm going to tell you a little bit more about how we were able to partner with a company in Asheville, but now we're actually also going to make our own. So we're very excited to see how that works out. But that's what a trash trap is really just a stormwater litter trap. So HRA, I know I touched on it briefly, but we've been around since 1982. We've done a lot of work when it comes to trying to combat litter and all the plastics that are entering our waterways. And being in the Haw River watershed, we know that eventually things can end up in the Atlantic Ocean just based on being in the Cape Fear River Basin. So we started our Haw River Cleanup-a-thon 33 years ago. This year we also had it. And we were able to collect over 325 bags of trash from 5 different counties across the Haw River watershed. So that's one of our initial projects that we did in 2020 when the pandemic was running rapid. We had focused on the plastics campaign and partnering with industries about how we could reduce our single-use plastics. And then last year we started the trash trap in June. So we've been working on that and then trying to build relationships with municipalities so that we could place them more throughout the watershed. So that's just a little bit of our background when it comes to plastics and what we've been trying to do and how I'm going to share in just a little bit how successful the trash traps have been. So as I mentioned, we have been installing them across the watershed. We've gotten the approval and we're hoping to, I believe our next one's going to be in Greensboro, and I'm actually like in High Point, so I'm right around the area. So I'm really excited to have it here in Guilford County. But our first one was installed at Third Fork Creek, and it's been really successful in terms of being able to collect data and just being able to get the community involved. It's in a really visible area where people are running constantly, and so they're able to see the sign and they're able to see all that plastic, all that styrofoam, and it really provides a powerful image of the problems that we have when it comes to human activity and how it's impacting our water and how that ultimately impacts our wildlife. So we have a second one that will come in Durham. So we're just trying to get the final approvals on where that will be. Our Haw River keeper, Emily Sutton, knows exactly where it's at. So I wouldn't be able to tell you right off the top of my head, but we're very excited to have another one in Durham. And Durham's been really great to work with in terms of trying to get the permits and approval that we need. So we'll have one in Greensboro and Chapel Hill. And so these will all be spots that volunteers can come out to and help us clean out the traps and then help us with the collection aspect. And we really wanted this to be a community effort. So initially we had partnered with a company in Asheville that created these traps, but now we want to make sure that we're touching all parts of the community. So we realized that High Point had a stormwater litter trap design. And so what we're doing is we're partnering with different community colleges and their welding programs to make them on our own and use the funding from our grants to provide the materials for these community colleges. So we're really excited just to see all hands of the community be on this project. And then we also have schools and college involvement. So the one at Third Fork Creek, we have some individuals from Duke who come out and they help sort the trash, which I know it's not the most fun, but just being around other people and other volunteers makes it fun. And they're able to sort how much styrofoam we have versus how much plastic, and we use that for our advocacy efforts. So we've been collecting all this data since June, and we're really hoping that it pays off. And I think once you see the statistics, you're going to be very surprised. So I'm excited to see what you think of that. And then just having volunteer group participation. We want all community members to be able to come out and enjoy this opportunity. And everybody that has come out has really enjoyed it. And so we're really just looking to increase that volunteer database and bring awareness. So as I mentioned, this is actually the results that we have since June. So I don't know what you thought would be the most accumulated material, but it actually ended up being styrofoam. And let me tell you, styrofoam is the worst thing to find because it's always like broken in pieces, like you're finding little bits and pieces everywhere. So it's just not fun. But that's over 85% was what we found when it came to hard plastics, bottles and cups, obviously 11%. And then that nasty plastic film, those grocery bags that everybody likes to throw out, and then more metal and glass bottles were less than 2%. So we think that there's a big styrofoam issue, and obviously still some plastics. And with the plastics, we know that they can break down into microplastics, which can be really detrimental to fish and even our drinking water. And it's actually said that we as humans accumulate over a credit card worth of plastic. And so maybe this is coming from our fish, maybe this is coming from the water, but we know that it can actually start on these different local waterways. So, and we've moved over 10,000 pieces of litter thus far. So how to get involved? We have been working with sponsors in terms of the signs that we have on the traps, and we try to work with organizations and companies we know that have a green-based initiatives and are passionate when it comes to protecting our environment. And so with Durham, we've been able to have 4 different sponsors that are on the sign, but we're looking for more sponsors in different areas. So right now we're working in Greensboro. One of our sponsors in Greensboro is Maxi B. And if you don't know who they are, they're a very sustainable bakery. Really just incredible things that they're doing, but we'll need sponsors in different areas. So we're really excited about exploring that. And really it's a great marketing opportunity for them because as I've mentioned, these are in spots where people run by. And I think it's a really great initiative to be a part of. So if you know somebody that would like to be a sponsor, let me know. But I really think it's a great marketing tactic for them. And it helps us in terms of being able to have the funds to make sure we're maintaining these traps. And then, of course, we need more volunteers, which I would love for everybody on this call to come volunteer. We right now just have monthly cleanups. They are the last Saturday of every month. So I'm going to share our next one, which is coming up at the end of May, which I can't even really comprehend that we're in May thus far. So yes, that's what we're looking for. So I wanted to share this quick video. I hope my volume is able to play, but this is somebody that had come up to our trash trap for the first time, and this was their experience. So I hope my volume is able to play, but if not, I will send this after. Once.
Now the trash trap, and I'm here because I want to make this stream cleaner in the short term, but in the long term, get the information we need to try and get the trash to stop coming into the creek in the first place. Passing some regulations that will decrease some of this. I'm also really excited because we have new trash routes coming to Harbor and Chapel Hill really soon, and we're eager to get teams of people out cleaning up streams there and finding out what kind of trash Harbor and Chapel Hill are generating and getting rid of it.
Yes. So I hope you were able to hear that, but that was just one of our volunteers that was able to come out. And I think it was really special for her to witness that and to see that we were actually making an impact. And so all the data that we're collecting, we're hoping to use eventually for advocacy efforts and being able to bring that to our House and Senate representatives and talk about, well, maybe this is a policy that we could put into place. And we know by working at these trash traps that we are seeing problems, and this is what we're seeing. So our next clean out in Durham will be on May 27th at 10 a.m. We usually do from 10 to 12. We send out an email ahead of time just so you know exactly where to park and all the details. And then we walk down to the trap together. And then if you have waders, I suggest you bring them. We may have a few with us, but bring your waders, bring your boots, and we'll have some gloves available as well. So we will just be taking out the trash. In that video, you probably saw our intern Jason, who was in the back picking out stuff. So there's several different roles. So there's people that are picking it out. There are people that are organizing it. So there's several different areas that you can do. So it's been a really great initiative for us so far. And if you are ready to sign up, I will send out this link ahead of time. But this is what the form looks like. Maybe that might be the wrong one. I will send out the form. Basically, it just has the times that you can sign up and at the different locations. So we are expecting our next trash trouts to be out hopefully by next month or at least the following one. So probably around June and July. but they'll be at different locations. But if you're in Durham and you're free on May 27th, I would love to come see you and meet you and have you be a part of this great initiative. So if you're interested in volunteering, or if you know somebody that would want to help sponsor one, I would be able to share more information around that. So that's all I have on my end. But if you have any questions, concerns, please let me know. You can put those in the chat.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Hannah, for that great presentation.
Thank you. I'll put the volunteer form in the chat real quick.
Yeah, awesome. And then I don't know if anybody was interested in reaching out, but if you want to also share your email down there too, that would be great.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'll wait if anybody has any questions. I myself have a question. I have a couple, but I will try to rein it in.
Yes.
So
well, I know you've been to our trash shop before. So how was that experience for you?
I really enjoyed it. It was fun getting to go out and, well, for one, getting to actually be out in the community, because it's kind of like a tucked away little trail, but it was actually really peaceful being out there, and getting to meet the different community members was also really cool. There was a little bit of worry that I was going to fall in a time or two, but other than that, no, I had a great time. It was really, really fun.
Awesome. Well, any questions you have, I'd be glad to answer them.
Awesome. I have a quick question. Well, for these cleanups that you do at the trash trouts, is there any, I guess, really bizarre things that you've found or someone has found during these cleanups?
To be honest, I think the two things that stick out to me, besides like styrofoam and just the abundance of it, you always find syringes and needles, which is not great. It's a little alarming, but you always find lots of sports balls as well, which is sad. So I feel like those are the two things that stick out to me. I know just from doing the other cleanups, not necessarily at the trash trout, the most interesting thing I've ever found was a DVD player like buried under some leaves. So yeah, I think those lots of sports balls and like needles that I have found at the trash trout are probably the strangest things I've found. But yeah, I think that's what comes to mind.
Yeah, I would say I noticed a lot of sports balls when I was out there as well. And definitely it seems like at least from my understanding, and maybe you could clarify that sometimes that when there's just too much trash that it can overflow I guess and get washed off some water.
Yes, we haven't had that problem yet. It gets really full, and one of the things we did to address that was trying to figure out why is it getting so full so quickly. Like there has to be some type of source, and we noticed that there's actually a car wash spot that's fairly close, and we think people may be throwing out stuff from their car. So we're trying to see if we can have any movement on that, but if not, the trash trap has been there to kind of save the day. But hopefully, we're identifying these sources, and the whole goal is to eventually alleviate that so that this isn't a problem. I mean, maybe these trash traps could be repurposed in different areas. So, I mean, the whole goal is to bring awareness to the public, because when you walk by it, it's pretty eye-opening to see that amount of trash. And so I think it really resonates with people that, hey, we need to do something. And then the biggest thing that I love about volunteering is you have people that come by and they'll say, thank you, we appreciate this. And just being able to see the community come together and feeling like you're doing something greater than yourself, I think is always important. So yeah, we haven't had that yet. I think the only mishap we had was where there was the door had come open. Somebody hadn't locked it all the way. But luckily we had some citizens and some individuals that had kept an eye on it and were able to notify us before all the trash went out. So that's the only concern that we've had. But besides that, they're very strategically located. So if there is flooding, it wouldn't be too much of an ordeal. And we tried to be very smart where they were placed.
Right. But so with that I guess, spot finding location, I guess, what are some of the qualities that you look for in terms of, I guess, the actual location? Because I know you probably want to keep it in a community
Yes.
area.
Yes. So we are always looking for urban areas. I can tell you like the one in Greensboro that we have, it's guaranteed to be in a park. So if it's a park, typically that's where a lot of trash does accumulate. We look at the water height. We also want to make sure it's not too shallow so that it doesn't hit. And then making sure, just looking at the environment, that we're not going to harm any of the environment as well in the making. Like that would completely defeat the purpose. So just looking at the surrounding area, and then obviously the amount of trash. If you can go and see a bunch of bottles, you know that something's going wrong. So just making sure we're not hurting the rest of the environment, making sure the water level is pretty decent, but it won't overflow too much. So there are a lot of different variables in it, and I think we found a pretty good formula in terms of what we're looking for. So our next one in Greensboro will be at Barber Park. And so I feel like that'll kind of be follow soon. The other places and municipalities have been really great about communicating that as well. So it's really nice to work with them from that standpoint. And I mean, if there are any litter spots, we would love to know those just in advance so that we can kind of keep that on our radar. So if anybody has any suggestions, we're always open to that, because, you know, maybe we can put these trash traps in all different areas. And I think it's something that, you know, our cities could continue to invest in.
Yeah, no, I definitely would agree. And if somebody has an area in mind, but they maybe are, I guess, not within the watershed, do you have any recommendations or any tips of who they might be able to reach out to?
Yes.
Okay.
Let's see. Well, if they're not in the Haw River watershed, I encourage everybody to find which watershed you are in, and maybe reach out to that river keeper. There are 17 within North Carolina that you can reach out to. Our river keeper, Emily, is super involved, and I know a lot of the other river keepers are very involved as well. So I would just see which watershed you're in, and then maybe which river keeper you could reach out to, because usually they love hearing from anybody. To be honest, and maybe even reaching out to your municipality and suggesting it. I know, like I said, I worked for the city of Greensboro previously in water resources, and, you know, we're always looking for ideas to engage the public and get them excited about something. So anytime we got tips or suggestions, we were all ears, and the cities can afford to pay it. I know in Greensboro, we could have afforded to have a trash trap. So, you know, I think that there are so many avenues, but it's really just bringing it to people's attention that's important.
Yeah, I definitely would agree. It's a great initiative to get behind, and hopefully we can see a bunch more of trash trouts or trash.
We're calling them trash traps now. Yes.
Trash traps. Sorry, trash traps. Hopefully
it's
we'll
a renaming process. So and we had to change it for some legal reasons. So.
Okay, totally understand. We understand that.
So it's all good.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Hannah, for that great presentation. For those of you listening, I hope that you were able to take something away from this. Hopefully you can get out and get involved with the cleanups that are going on within the Haw River Assembly. But if not, hopefully this will inspire you to get involved with the watershed near you. So yeah. Thank you again, Hannah. Yeah, and I hope everyone else has a great rest of their evening. So.
Bye, everybody. Thank you so much.
Yeah.